What's up, dude? Everyone will be joining here in a minute.
Hey, man.
What's up, dude?
It's really cool you guys are still doing this.
Doing
Happy,
what do you mean?
just happy to come on and help out any way I can.
Yeah, I mean it is your podcast too, so that's
Oh,
cool you're here. I mean, the
I
others will
just
be here in a minute.
I just don't want it to. I don't want you guys to think that I forgot that I'll forget about you guys.
I would hope not,
I don't know if
but
you
uh,
saw how well the last video did.
yeah, a little bit. But
Life is different for me now.
okay,
I
elaborate.
well, I have the studio now. I rented an Audi.
Like for the day, or just to celebrate.
I rented an Audi. That's just where I am.
Okay,
I
all
got a
right.
chick right outside the studio right now. Will not stop taking pictures of my kids.
Your wife, maybe?
This is life for me now.
Okay.
Got to worry about the photogs, the paparazzi.
I don't know that that's okay. Sure.
You see the get up.
Yeah,
I had to start doing this.
I don't know what you're on, man,
But sunglasses, I got a hat. Whole
I
nine.
think it'll be okay. It's it's your camera. I think that's about the only one that's on you, so it'll be all
I
right
got
though.
concerned. And keep in mind, I can buy sunglasses, dude. I got sunglasses out the ass. But I got a little freaked out when I was at Starbucks earlier today. And I don't know if they saw the video, but they were like, Jared, white chocolate mocha.
Did you happen to give him that information when you ordered the white chocolate mocha?
I got a publicist.
Okay.
She
We have
wasn't,
50
I'll be honest,
subscribers, right?
she wasn't very interested in you guys, but she does take referrals.
Okay.
Alexandra Schutz DDS. I think DDS is the name of the company.
There's so much going on right now that maybe we
I'm
just
just
wait
trying
for
to
the.
help y'all out. They made an intro for the podcast for me.
Oh, they meaning who?
It's the Catechin, brought to you by the Nosebleed Boosters Podcast Network. Recorded live from the Sheree Thomas Memorial Podcast Studio, here's Ben Venable Esquire, Caleb Brittany Seymour, Gaden Butts,
Hey,
and
yo!
of course, the fellas know 'em, the ladies love 'em, and the they-thems are neutral on 'em. My man, Jared, the party animal, the handsome genius, the youngest man alive, Collins.
Things are going well.
So many questions. Number one, Gaden Butts, huh? Okay, that set aside the the 3 sentence intro for just one person that's on the podcast. You, for someone who doesn't want to be recognized, you sure gave yourself a little intro there.
They made that.
Maybe,
I thought it was too much, but
but you didn't put it together, right? It was somebody else.
jealousy looks so ugly on you. I'm going places.
Yeah, let's That's just so much. You can take the freaking glasses off. That's crazy.
How many
Run that
subscribers we
intro
got
by
now?
me one more time. Go ahead. Let me hit it one more time. I
It's
wanna.
the Catechin,
Okay, yeah, it
brought to
is
you by the Nosebleed Boosters Podcast Network.
accurate so far.
Recorded live from the Sheree Thomas Memorial Podcast Studio, here's Ben Venable Esquire,
Correct.
Caleb Brittany Seymour,
Can't
Gaden
confirm.
Butts, and of
Incorrect.
course, the fellas know 'em, the ladies love 'em, and the they-thems are neutral on 'em. My man, Jared, the party animal, the handsome genius, the youngest man alive, Collins.
So ridiculous. The youngest man alive. You have children, sir.
That's what they're calling me, man. I think it's annoying. I tell them to stop.
It's like I heard the term wonderkind thrown around. Not sure what it means, but I know what it means. Very successful for your age, but like it's a weird word. Yeah, maybe pump the brakes, bud. We got a little bit of views and 50 subscribers. I don't think anybody's
50 subscribers?
just 50 or 50, something like that. Last time I checked, about 50, not 500, not 5,000, but 50. So each of them have to
Then
want. Yeah,
then I guess everybody should like and subscribe.
I mean, if you want to keep up this lifestyle, they're gonna have to.
I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men.
Here we go. It's the Catechin. Kentucky beat Lipscomb 97-68. Fellas, how are we feeling?
Good, man. Exactly as you'd want to feel after, no letdown after the big Duke win. It's Lipscomb. Obviously, a little interest there with the common opponent with Arkansas. Did beat them by a lot more. Dominated the game a lot more thoroughly. But again, just one of those ones that you gotta go out there and win. You gotta go out there and take this one. It was, I mean, a lot of good you can take from a 29-point win. Some bad as well, but I mean, pretty honestly, it's what you wanted to see.
I feel like in other games, we would have gotten this would have been a letdown spot with us not playing for a week and it being kind of in a letdown game after the Duke game coming off that high. But altogether, good game, relatively boring. But altogether, I'm happy with it.
That's how these games should be, though. I mean, it's. I'll say I followed Kentucky always. I mean, from the time I went there and through the end of the Cal era, I was on board. I watched every game. I every game I could.
Hmm.
I don't know the last time I was this hungry for another game. This week off has been torturous. I was so ready to see them play again, and it is so nice. I was thinking too, like maybe this is an opportunity for a letdown. I sort of saw that with the women the other day. Big emotional win over Louisville, followed up by a win, but not quite to the best of their ability against that level of opponent. And so it was really refreshing to see, especially Jackson come out hot after.
Yeah.
Not that he played poorly against Duke, but a slow offensive performance, and he totally turned that around. And so this is how I like feeling against teams that are in the triple digits in Ken Palm.
Yeah.
Lead start to finish, we led for 38 minutes, 33 seconds, tied for a minute. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how that should feel.
I mean, I think there was some, obviously you had guys like you said, you mentioned Jackson played really well. I was impressed with Brea. Had 7 boards. He's not usually a big rebounder, but he did well off the, rebounding out of his minutes there. A couple things I didn't love is the ball movement seemed to really be ISO ball at times, more so than any other game we've seen this year. There's only 10 assists on like 30 buckets or something like that. So that, I mean, you can out athlete Lipscomb, and I get it. It's a 29-point win in which they ended on like a 13-2 run, so it was even worse than that for a while. But just some things to look at is it feel like the second half defense. Well, so. The assists were low. Yeah, it was 10 assists on 34 buckets. So I mean, again, nitpicking, it's Lipscomb. They came out, they did their work, and again, different guys every night. Carr kind of dominated the Duke game down the stretch. He goes 1 for 5 for 2 points in 25 minutes. He contributed elsewhere, but again, it's the speaks to how it can be a different guy every night, and it doesn't have to necessarily be the same guy. Even over the course of 3 or 4 games, it can shift and
How
rotate
much
things
of
around.
it feeling like ISO ball do you think had to do with them having a different offensive focus for this game versus just the drawn up motion stuff that we've seen in games past?
I don't know. I mean, I know even early on we identified at halftime like, wow, they've only had 6 assists, and in fact they had fewer in the second half. I mean, you end
Mm-hmm.
up with 10, that means four.
Or
Um, but also it's not like they needed ball movement to get open either. I mean, we shot almost 50% from three. Spread the ball around pretty well. It was just uh, not just a little different. I mean, it's sort of, to me, in the same way it can be. We can beat you with any one of a number of guys. It's encouraging. Maybe we can beat you with any one of a number of play styles, and that's good to see.
One thing I thought it might be is that they only turned the ball over 6 times, Lipscomb did, and that doesn't lead for a lot of transition, which you get a lot of the whip around passes, the extra pass, even on the 3 point line, stuff like that. So I think a lot of times it was just a guy going by. Lamont had a couple where he just dribble drive past somebody, or he did hit a few threes. I mean, you shoot 55% overall, 50, basically 48% from three. I mean, there's not a whole lot to beef about. It just was interesting that it was definitely a low on the seasons for the assists, for the assist to buckets, and then turnovers weren't bad, only 8, but again, we only forced 6. And I don't even know how many of those were actually forced versus like unforced. So not a lot of. I didn't see fast break points have a chance to see, but I would imagine have to be somewhat low because they didn't turn the ball over that much, and a lot of our points come off of those pick six type things.
Lipscomb coach
Can
said after the game that this Kentucky offense was the best Power Four offense he's seen since he's been a head coach at Lipscomb,
Hmm.
which is nice to hear. But also, what's this non-Power Four offense that he's played against that's better than ours?
right.
And why
Can we
qualify
figure it
there?
out?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
We had 14 fast break points. I don't know how that compares to our other couple games, but yeah, it does seem. I mean, in a normal game, it seems like we have more than say 7 possessions where we get out in transition and score quickly. So
Yeah, I'm curious
seems
to
slow
see.
there, but
I like the
also
speaking of the
shout
fast
out.
break, the Colin Chandler long snap to Amari Williams on the fast break.
Yeah,
That was sweet. Good to see him
who
out
knew
there
we had
playing
a
confident.
potential dual sport athlete?
Stoops might have to
That's
give
a
him a
good.
call.
Let's see.
He may save Mark's career.
Perhaps. Okay. Yeah.
Shout out Lamont Butler also. I mean, the three ball isn't a huge part of his game normally. He went 3 of 3. Brea went 3 of 3 from behind the line. Robinson hit 3 of 6. Owe 1 of 1. I mean, it makes for a nice stat line in the end.
Yeah.
If Lamont Butler's making 3-point shots consistently, like this team won't lose if you have even Lamont making shots
And the
like that.
kind of shots he was hitting too, those I mean, they weren't just like wide open clean. He was making his own shot out
Yeah,
the three,
right.
and he drove to the hole well too. I mean, like he played really well. I felt like he was assertive. Um, yeah, I was really impressed with his game too because it kind of seemed like he couldn't get into a great rhythm against Duke, but basically everyone that played well. I mean, again, Carr had a little bit of a down game, but again, he still had some rebounds, played some defense, but yeah, he probably had his worst game that he's had so far, but didn't need him to do anything else.
Yeah, well, and he was tied for the highest plus minus. I mean, plus minus has major flaws as a metric, but he was tied with Robinson for the highest plus minus on the team.
Yeah, they did do on the runs when
E-
he was on the floor. So
right, yeah, and it's sort of something that I've talked about in the burner a little bit. That is, um, on Evan Mia, there's a discrepancy between the stats that look only at how the team performs while Carr's on the floor,
okay,
in which he's number one on the team, and the stats that look at. I mean, it's sort of the same calculation of the value you provide to the team, but that one doesn't look at how the score changes. It instead looks at your box score, where he doesn't lead
mm,
the team. So I wonder if it's just another example of Carr being a positive influence, a glue guy, makes the team
mm-hmm,
run. We as a team play well when he's playing, whether or not he's playing well.
right.
Just an interesting way to look at two different stats that are ultimately trying to determine the same thing, but get there in different ways and have different results.
For sure. No, he definitely has an impact. Whether and that's one thing that Pope's really keen on is he knows those things. He sees like he talked about Jackson after the Duke game. You know what I mean? He made a massive impact just by entering the gym. Just his the gravity he pulls, and Carr's the same way. They have to keep an eye on him all 3 levels of the floor. So even though he doesn't put up as much offensively this game, he still definitely had that impact.
I love Jackson's game, man.
It's
So good.
smooth, man.
He hit the step back tonight into the 3-point. So nice. Like I think we've said privately where I've said Jackson is so smooth that it's almost like he looks slow, but he's not slow. It just looks so smooth and natural to him. And when he gets going, man, he gets going.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, I love his game, honestly. And you got the 7 boards too. Effort was there. Yeah, scoring at all 3 levels. It was. I mean, it's probably the best game so far, just to get right as well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. OA 4 boards, J Rob 7, Omari 11, though I expect him to have a bunch. Brea 7 and Garrison 5. I mean, like, another thing that we're spreading around well.
Yeah, rebounding at all positions at the guard line and the front line for sure.
Ben, did you know that Kobe Brea has not shot a free throw all year?
Has he not, really?
We looked at that. Yeah, he doesn't shoot very many in his career. He had like 11 all. He had a season where he went 100% from the foul line, but it
See,
was only 7 for 7 his like junior year, I think. There's no foul shots being
see.
taken.
Yeah, this season. He's 3 for 3 this season, but still, that's like nothing.
Oh, I
Not
was
bad.
lied
Uh, I
to
want
by someone
I
who I
want to
thought was my
know.
friend.
I want to know, and I'll find this out now, if we still have any players with no turnovers. And we do. Brea on the season, no turnovers. Ansley Almanor on the season, no turnovers.
Well, those are the guys who are just,
Yeah, right.
you're
And
and
and,
they're
and
gonna
some
shoot
of
it.
some of that comes down to their role. And maybe in the same way that you have like an arm punt in football, throw it all the way down the field, he gets intercepted. Maybe you have like a missed shot turnover for shooters that
Yeah.
we don't expect you to dribble, we don't expect you to pass, we just want you to shoot. If a shot is bad, maybe it's a shot turnover. But both those guys, that's impressive.
Well, guys, I don't know how much more you want to dive deep into the Lipscomb game, but I'm still buzzing off of Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, it was a movie, man. I mean, you saw the journey. It was literally a movie from the jump. But yeah, it was insane. And it's leading into this game, it's a huge deal to not have a letdown like that because it's a definition. I mean, of it. You got so I was going to look at the upcoming schedule, and it's Lipscomb obviously tonight, then Jackson State, Western, Georgia State, and then it's Clemson and Gonzaga. But this is like a stretch where you just go out, take care of your business for the next 5. But that Duke one's going to be the one that holds the most weight, obviously. And it was, I mean, we were there. It was insane. I mean, yeah, great game.
So I always, especially when I go to a game or if I watch it at a bar or something, I'll go home and rewatch it if it's a game I care about, and just to make sure I see it from a good neutral sideline angle. Here, when we were there, we were behind the basket.
Yeah.
I was curious to see how I felt about the crowd. I mean, when we were there, it felt like more Kentucky fans, but we were also sitting with a bunch of Kentucky fans, so I wasn't sure how much of an effect that had. I was curious to see if I'd feel the same way about the whistle in the first half. When we were there, it felt like we were really getting screwed, and I was just curious, when I'm not in a highly emotional state watching it
Right.
with 20,000 of my closest friends, if I felt the same way. And one thing I gathered on the rewatch is on the TV you had no sense of crowd noise.
Mm.
That's a bummer.
Some Yeah, I mean, every now and then you'd get part of a chant, but not really. I mean, people on KS board were talking about how epic the first "Go Big Blue" chant was, and it was huge. It was loud. The players have talked about it. I mean, and I didn't even hear it on TV. I know some broadcasters are better about having some like crowd noise mics,
Hmm.
and I just don't. Instead, we got to listen to Jay Billis,
I wish we knew the 4 guys who started that first Go Big Blue chant.
if only.
Wish we knew those
You know,
4.
it is
They're probably very
interesting.
handsome.
Maybe some of us. All of it, whatever. No, but like I think one thing too, if you think about it, like it's not like the one thing I noticed is it's not like the crowd was like on defense, like they were, like oh, like loud the whole time. It was mostly the moments, right? And it would be at a
Right.
timeout or at a break, and so that would make sense that you didn't really come through on TV just because it wasn't like it's a little different style crowd. Like I'm used to, like the Spectrum being like, but this, I mean, it was still sick and it was really loud at times. It was just more of a like we'd let it out as it happened. You know what I mean? Like at the timeout, we take the lead, or they call timeout, or whatever. There's a break, dead ball, stuff like that. I thought it got plenty loud though, and a lot of Duke fans. I mean, we were sitting there a few, like, but it be your own people though, because the only people we got into a scuffle with was Kentucky fans a little bit, but.
Yeah, Ben,
Perfect
do you have
company.
anything? Do you have anything to share about any run-ins with other Kentucky fans?
Yeah, I was chastised for my use of profanity. Actually, Caleb was initially. Gentleman in front of us after a particularly egregious call where used some not
You
so
timed it
nice
up good.
words to the
Timed
ref,
it up good.
and I'd been yelling all game. I mean, I'd already lost my voice at this point, but it was one of those moments where I screamed at the refs in the exact moment the rest of the crowd just like stopped yelling, and
What
so
the
my voice
F,
stood
ref?
out, and this guy turned around, pushes Caleb in the chest, and said, "I'm about tired of hearing that word in my ear." And
Which
I old guy, whatever. I mean, so I get that some people don't swear and don't like to hear that, but I put my hand on his back. I'm like, "Hey, it was me. Whatever. I'm sorry." And then he started saying he was going to wear my ass out if I said it again. And I'm like, "Whatever, dude." And then later, it was even a good thing. Like he turned around and was high fiving us, and I didn't say anything in one moment, and he said, "Oh, you're keeping your mouth shut now, aren't you?" And it's like, I'm not. If I was afraid of you, I would have let Caleb continue to take the blame for this.
That's the craziest part is like not only did I swear in that dude's ear like 5 million times, I hit him in the head one time trying to high five his friend after we took the lead. I'm like, I rocked him too. That hat went flying, bro. And he didn't say nothing, but he turned
And
around and was ready to like
the
bow up on Caleb.
the funny thing is, like, the guy was cool. Like, he was high fiving us all game, even before, immediately after, maybe even more so after. Certainly at the end of the game, and we saw him in the parking garage, and he honked and waved. I mean, maybe
It'd
he
be
was
your own
just
people.
maybe this
It
guy was
was
just as stressed out at the moment as I was. I mean, I think this was like 72-72 time.
Oh, it was late.
yeah, he was
He
about
was
.72.
So tensions may have been high, and he just
He was
I think
about
it was a little
72.
before that though. Yeah, I think it was. It was. Yeah, it was right around there though, because Kerr missed that like that heat check with like 20. Yeah, when it was 72 all. Yeah, it was right around there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it was just tensions are high, and he wasn't happy to hear me swearing. But
I think he started coming around at the end because he was probably just kept thinking about that moment again and again through the game. It was probably uncomfortable, and then he started overcompensating with friendliness at the
yeah,
end of it.
probably.
Hey, that's what when you got down a little bit to the Duke fan, like, because I could hear the guy behind me, like in my ears, getting louder and louder. Because we had been up for a sec, and I was like, I'm gonna turn around. So that guy's getting closer to me. I had to, you know, just give him a little props. Like, oh man, it's a good Duke team, man. What do you think? And then by the end of it, they're giving us sad knuckles on the way out, but it was cool. Kansas fans were a little saltier than the Duke fans. It seemed like on the way out, but that was, I mean, I was on their ass a little bit, but don't play Michigan State so close. Pretty
My
easy.
favorite Duke chirp from the night was Kentucky went to inbound the ball, and we didn't have somebody to take the ball out, and
Ah,
then a girl yells, "Where's your organization, Kentucky?" She got us,
yeah.
boys.
He thought she was on her. She looked around like hell yeah. Fucking said it. Yeah. Whoops.
It was so quiet too. I was looking back at her, and she's just
That was good though. Oh my gosh, well, that was so much fun. Like they just kept battling, and
You know, people keep talking about Jackson's performance. I think the worst performance of that night was Gizmo. He was the frisbee catching dog who
Oh
proceeded not
yeah,
to catch a
absolutely.
single frisbee.
trash. Absolutely,
He
just dropping it all. It was like a pity laugh or pity clap at the end. That was
I'm
crazy bad.
I'm sure he was a good dog, but he was not good at catching frisbees. He sub 50% easy. And even
Oh
the
yeah,
backup, they brought out. I don't know if it was supposed to be a backup dog or if the intention all along was to have them both. But even the backup dog, awful.
yeah.
Just not good at the. I mean, good dog, not a good frisbee catcher.
They
Absolutely,
had
just
little
grill
booties
checking
on.
them.
They had
Yeah,
little booties on their paws. I'm assuming not to damage the floor, but I don't know if that was causing any sort of grip issues on the jumps. But it was hitting them in the mouth. You got to bring that
I,
down.
I I'd argue that if you are committed to go and do a basketball halftime show,
Mhm.
you should know that you're going to have to wear booties, and you should know that how, if at all, that's going to affect the dog's ability to perform. I mean, it's
Some of us aren't built for the
fundamental
bright
to the
lights.
job.
Put it down.
Yeah.
That's what somebody yelled. It was me.
What'd you say?
So put it down. That's when somebody yelled, "That was me."
Yo, but it was like not just like he missed one. It's like, oh, he'll get the next one. Like he was giving him like he started tossing him like the warm up lobs, and dog was just like teething him, just gritting them off his face, like just bouncing. Today we gotta mention though the one kid that won the tic tac toe shooting thing. Beat the Duke whistle. He was pretty. That kid was pretty dope.
Got
Yeah,
to
he
get
has
him
some.
on
He
the
has some.
show.
Figure out
So,
who he
so
is.
that
Yeah.
that was, I mean, like I said, at the beginning of the game, and it wasn't just where we were sitting because that guy also was making jokes about the Duke whistle.
Hmm.
Uh, and on rewatch, I felt a little better about it. There were some calls I didn't like, especially in the first half. The Krisa block charge call I thought was still pretty bad.
He went
Uh,
flying,
the, the, the,
dude.
there was one which I know is one I yelled about in the game. It was Carr and Knipple both went to rebound a ball. Carr
Hmm.
got there first. They collided and both fell down, and they called a foul on Carr. I thought that was still pretty bad, but otherwise, it wasn't as slanted as I remembered. I think they were inconsistent with it,
I
but but
remember
but, but definitely in the second half, I felt like it was relatively neutral.
it in the first half. It was like 9 fouls. We hit 19 fouls before they hit five. I recall, and
Yeah,
they had
well,
a lot of calls towards the end, like to even it up at the half, as refs do. But it was for a minute there. That whistle was hot on
uh,
Kentucky.
I noted we got our seventh team foul with more than 9 minutes to go
Hmm.
in the first, and like that's pretty bad, especially because we're not a big fouling team. I mean, what did we
No,
have tonight? And like obviously the
14.
quality of the competition is different. You would expect fewer, but like we are not a heavy fouling team, so it's crazy that. And I think we're actually among the best in the country. Let's see. For our defense is fourth best in the country at free throws allowed to field goals allowed. I mean, so
Wow.
so our opponents shoot very few free throws. So we're not a big fouling team, and it is crazy that with a, only a quarter of the way into the game, Duke's in the bonus.
Yeah.
Did Billis seem as slanted as what people online are saying? You think?
I don't think he was as egregious as Jay Williams. Uh,
Fair.
and usually I think Billis does a good job at being pretty objective. I think he was glazing Cooper flag, but I guess that's to be expected. But
Yeah.
I also thought he was a little worse than he usually is. Uh, and I think people just saw more of it because he's calling the whole game, whereas you get Jay Williams for a little bit at halftime and a little bit post game and a little bit TikToks he makes post game, and you get Billis for 40 minutes. So you're just exposed to it more.
I feel like his energy
I
was just low in regards to calling both sides of that game. Like, yeah, I get the narrative as like Cooper Flag's the guy. It is ESPN. It is a big deal. Champions Classic. I understand. And the kid, hey, worth the price of admission. He really is that good.
Yeah.
Like, take nothing away from him. I mean, my goodness. But that when I went back and watched it, it kind of felt like even towards the end when he was like, "Well, yeah, it looks like Kentucky's going to do." It almost sounded like he was kind of bummed. Maybe not so much slanted in his opinions, but just the energy wasn't super. Like I feel like it'd have been different, if it was the other way around. He might have been a little more psyched. But
He
I
does
think
a better job at
objectively
it than I
speaking,
would
he was
do.
fine.
If it were me on there, I'd be handling that much worse. Even if I was getting paid
Hey,
the money Jay Billis was,
sure.
I'd be furious if my team lost.
He's not supposed to have a team.
Better man than me. The one thing that is a little bit annoying, but I get it, is that the post game coverage, no matter who it is more so just talking about Duke even after Kentucky won. So we've been on the other end of this, so it feels like just this team and maybe just Pope in general, maybe just kind of got to earn their stripes with the media in order. I mean, just the narrative isn't built around us this season, and maybe that's where we want them.
Yeah. I think it
Well,
shifted pretty heavily, though. I mean, over the week. I mean, it's, Kentucky's a contender at this point, top 10 AP. I mean, it definitely did a lot of good. But I get what you're saying still. It doesn't feel like, like you said, you've been on the other end of it before. And I think that they'll continue to do it. Like, it's funny that everyone seems to want to come around to what we've been saying since, my guy
I,
got hired. But hey,
I think some of it is that the NBA, for better or worse, has become so driven by stars. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not. I mean, of course, it's a team sport, but the coverage is Jason Tatum and Luca and SGA and Jokic and Giannis. I mean, it's very much star power driven.
Right.
And I think that's what Jay Williams was getting at. I think he's insufferable, and this was a awful video he made. But but what he's saying is like that is what currently sells in basketball,
Yeah.
and I think maybe our lack of star power, and
Yeah.
not that we don't have guys capable of being stars, because I don't believe that, but the fact that like we say it could be anyone any given night. Well, for Duke, I don't know that it could be anyone any given night. It'll be Cooper Flag. It's the Cooper Flag show this year, and we've had
Yeah.
that. Even if Cal says AD scored the fourth most points on the team, whatever, it's like
So
he
true.
was the star on that team. We've had our stars. I'm sure we've been the recipient of undeserved coverage as a result of that.
Oh, the
But
38
it
and
is
one
kind of
year.
funny to see it from the other end.
The 38 and one year, you couldn't watch a college basketball game without Kentucky being mentioned in a game we weren't even playing in.
Right.
And I loved it. So we're not the main characters right now, but that'll change.
I mean, yeah. To get up to 9 is pretty impressive, though, especially where, what, do they start 23rd in the first bowl up to like 17th or whatever and 16th, whatever it was.
I think I
Jump
saw
from,
this was UK's biggest jump in the AP poll in history.
yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty
The biggest week to week jump.
Well, I don't know if we've been this severely underrated before.
A
So
lot of
I
doubters,
don't know how
yeah.
many opportunities we've had for a jump like this, but it's
We've
welcome.
been rated poorly before, but they've been right about it. It's just
Correct.
we've never been rated poorly and
We've
then
been
deserved
we've
a
been
higher
rated
rating.
poorly in the opposite direction.
Yeah, right.
So
Uh,
as far as I'm sorry, did you have any more Duke thoughts?
yeah, just a couple others. And these are sort of related, I guess. It's just I appreciate our ability, and maybe it's more Pope's ability to keep these guys in a good mental state. And I
Yeah.
think we saw that in the journey, and then how he spoke to them at halftime, how he spoke to them in timeouts. But like we started 5 for 5 from three, awesome, cannot miss. Then we went 1 for 9, and like I think a lot of teams, I don't have how that tracked with where our lead went, but we were down 10 in the first half. Then in the second half, we got it down to 4, but that wasn't our comeback because after that we fell down 9 again.
A couple
So
times it felt
so
like that.
the ability to have a team that's able to keep coming and start to close that gap and not get frustrated when the gap widens a little bit back up and not give up and get defeated is huge. And I just can't. I mean, I talk over and over about how excited I am to have this guy as our coach, but then you see something like the journey and see how he speaks to the team again at halftime in timeouts. At some point, Jackson got pulled out and he went to the bench, and Pope sort of grabbed him by the arm, wanted to say something real quick, and it's like this is a guy that knows what to say and how to keep his guys in a good mental state, emotional state for how he wants them to be playing.
They don't play afraid, like over looking over the show. And I've seen some people say that he's not hard enough on his players. He's not. He's a new age coach. He gets it. He demands a lot. His standard is very high, but also he's super empowering to the players. And I think that's exactly what you're kind of. I mean, that's how you have games where because it takes a ton of energy to be down 9-10 and fight back to 2-3. Tie the game up. To get over that's even harder. To do it a couple times is absolutely taxing. To play that hard of defense, to get stops. So I love his approach to things. I think it's more and more what you're going to see if you want to be successful as a coach. You're going to have rather than just the fear factor, more the love, the care factor, and then a high standard. I think that's where he differentiates himself from a lot of coaches.
I saw a couple interviews with players, and they were asking him like, "What did you think about him coming into the half and asking what you saw?" And a couple of them said like, "Yeah, that's different." And I was thinking like, how would I feel vibe wise if a coach came in and was obviously worried and was yelling and whatever and handling it poorly versus coming in saying, "Hey, let's talk about it. We can." I mean, at no point in there did he, and obviously you wouldn't intentionally tell your team like it's over, we're screwed, but but at no point did he have anything other than ultimate faith that they would, this is this is what we have to do. We do these things, we win.
Yeah.
And
And
I think that's such a helpful approach.
What a relief it is to have a guy who, down the stretch or even in tight games, that you can just sort of trust can handle the situation, and that you're not just constantly frustrated and baffled by their decisions. Like, what a pleasure it is to watch a team coached by this man.
and the whole staff, right? Like you see
Yeah.
AB in there talking about championship chest. You got Fox in there gassing guys up and checking in with guys as they're coming off the floor, going on the floor, stuff like that. I mean, it takes them all, you know what I mean? And I think it's just the empowerment of it. I think that we're still scratching the surface of what this team can be, and that's pretty crazy considering. But you've got, Jackson State's probably the worst team to play all year. Western's Western, Georgia State, but then it gets Clemson and Gonzaga, and those two games are massive. Going forward, which is looking ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
that Duke test was huge, and then they
So
put.
looking forward into it, we have a 5-game stretch. Let's give us the Colgate win. Okay. I think we beat Toothpaste U. But we play Clemson, Gonzaga, Louisville, and Ohio State. What how do you think those 4 games go? What do you think our record is in those 4 games?
Homer
I,
and
I
Nice is 4-0, but I think 3-1 probably.
I would take 3 and
yeah,
1.
I'd say 3-1. I mean, and it's not like a for sure we lose to Gonzaga thing. I've watched them a couple of times. I think they look really good, but after the Duke game, I certainly
Can't roll it
can't
out.
count these guys out, right? Like right
Clemson's going
now,
to be crazy.
Duke is Ken Palm 4, Gonzaga's Ken Palm 3.
I think
They're gonna show
Clemson's
out
the
at
trap.
Clemson.
Yeah, the Clemson game was the one I was more thinking the one. I actually think they'll beat Gonzaga in Seattle. It seems like I like the matchup better at Clemson, and it's the first true road game. That's what that'll be, a student section.
Yep.
That'll be a true home crowd. Like I know there's fans at the semi away game in Seattle, but it's still not the Kennel. That
And
I genuinely think that's going to be the biggest test so far, because they're not probably the team they were last year. They did just get waxed by Boise. But it is a home game. They're playing Kentucky. It's on the map now. Number 9, the top 10
Yep.
Kentucky, assuming so. So that was the one I actually thought they might drop.
this
And
Kentucky
apparently
team,
Little John gets really loud. It's apparently the acoustics are good, the fan base is good and vibrant. So that should be a good, exciting game. I mean we very easily could drop that one too. I don't know. I'm curious to see how the fan base responds to the first loss. But
Yeah.
it'll come at some it'll come at some point. But like it's
is Little John. Is that that's the name of their arena? I'm assuming.
The
yeah
East
yeah
Side
yeah.
Boys.
Is
Yeah.
that a is that a Robin Hood reference?
No idea.
Robin Hood and Little John
I'll
going
tell you
through
in a
the
second.
forest.
Turn down
Is
a
that
little
a stock investing app, Little John?
bit. Yeah, they might freeze it up if we do too well.
9,000 person multi-seat arena.
How far away is that from? That's not that far from Kentucky.
That's
It's like a day's drive.
Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. I can say we could make that one work. I mean, I don't think y'all boys are gonna fly out here to Seattle to watch that game against Gonzaga, but you could.
It's very close to Christmas.
It
And
is.
if my
Yeah.
kids want gifts, I might not be able to swing that one. So
named after James C. Littlejohn, class of 1908, Clemson's first business manager.
Will John's that old? That's crazy.
what?
And still rapping?
Yeah. Okay. So let's say we go 2-2 in those worst case scenarios. And what we drop
Clemson and Gonzaga.
4 SEC games.
Yeah.
I mean that's so. I don't think that's too positive. I don't think that's too negative for this team. 6
If
losses.
they find a way through these next 5 unscathed, it's gonna get real interesting. I mean, it's gonna be interesting either way, but Gonzaga, and if you got a Duke win and Gonzaga win before December 11th, that's pretty crazy.
Well,
That's
in conference, we get Alabama twice and Tennessee twice.
you get
And
Auburn too,
we get Auburn at home.
which is good.
So I don't think 4 is too crazy. I think 4 might be close. I mean, you would hope you split the Tennessee and Alabama games, but let's say you go 1-3, maybe 5 losses. If I'm being a
Yeah,
pessimist,
Ken Palm has us at 10-8 in conference.
I'm gonna say
That's
21-10 overall. Yeah,
That feels
that
rude.
seems kind of.
Ken
Well,
Palm
I
also
don't
has us at
know.
19 right now.
well. The other thing is Ken Palm for most of the season will continue to use previous year's data to some extent. I
Hmm.
mean, I think he
Oh,
said it totally drops out after 27 games, and
It's a
the
long
weight,
time.
yeah, it is, but the weight of it drops each game. It's
Hmm.
just the 28th game, I think, is the first one where it plays no role at all. And obviously with a totally new team, new coach, new style, no returning players. It's
completely
not like
useless.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, right. I think he said that it is useful for kind of anchoring like almost a floor and a ceiling for your team. You know, if you're middle of nowhere you and you play a good first game, but you still have normal middle of nowhere you players and middle of nowhere you quality coach, you probably are more likely within the range of what your previous team was. So I think he's looked at it and found that it is a stabilizing factor, even with some of this total roster turnover.
Yeah,
But yeah. I mean, what can you really glean from last year's UK team on this year's?
So I bet
this year's is
I see what
better.
you mean though, because doing that would be banking that a Kentucky team would be pretty good. So
Right.
yeah, that's useful.
What I think would be interesting is if there would be a way to take his current ratings as they are and use last year's Kentucky's data as the anchoring point for this year's Arkansas team to see if that would be more or less accurate than what he has.
It's
Be more
probably
Because
useful than
similar, right?
ours.
Like I mean, at that point, because it'd be the same
same
players.
coach, same style, three of the same place. So I don't know. Interesting thought experiment.
Well, and a lot of the like, if you look at his projections, like it has us at 10 losses, but like Clemson being like a toss up. Gonzaga is obviously the lowest percentage of win. Like that's a 24% chance is what he says. With his numbers, but the rest of them is like Mississippi State 80, 77. Tennessee's
Right.
that one, but most of them are pretty much a toss up one way or the other. So I think it's still kind of obviously it's finding its way still like statistically. I think it's going to be. I don't see 5 losses. Maybe if I mean, they're going to lose some games, but like they didn't lose to Duke, so and dang, Lipscomb's still top 150. Okay,
I'm just
Yeah.
judging
Look.
from previous years. There's these SEC road games can really shake up some teams, and also these guys, although they do have experience playing in road environments and everything, it's a completely different ball game when you're wearing a Kentucky jersey and you're playing an away game. That's 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 why the Clemson game concerns me a little bit, because this
what do you
team
mean by
just beat
that?
Duke and we're going on the road
Just because
over
it's the biggest
Kentucky.
brand around, and that's why like everyone's seeing the
Yeah.
best shot,
It's
or is it
Well,
the arenas in the SEC?
one man once said we're every team's Super Bowl.
Okay, I
and,
mean it's
and,
fair. I
and
meant as
it
far as like road environment, I think our guys have been in it. I mean, I know Lamont Butler certainly has. I
Sure,
mean, the pit twice a
but
year, the Spectrum twice a year,
yes, but
things like that.
when that's nearly every single road game you're playing, you're getting that team's best shot and their best crowd, and maybe their
Sure,
only
sure.
sellout of the season.
as as someone who also went to another SEC school and went to a lot of basketball games there, the way that they pack the arena out for Kentucky is
Mm.
different from any other school.
Okay, that's fair. Fair
The
enough.
way they cheer is different from any other school. It is, I mean, even as a fan just watching it, it is
It's
night and day
different.
difference
Okay.
between another SEC opponent and Kentucky playing there.
Fair enough, and that makes sense. That would be something I would have no idea because this is first season in the SEC here, so that makes sense.
And that's regardless of if we're any good or not. I mean, that isn't like a cocky
No, I
thing.
believe it's the biggest brand in all of college sports. It's not hard to believe.
It's almost worse when we're not good because then they're like, holy shit, we can beat Kentucky this year, and so they turn out even more. It's
Joke's on you. We sucked anyways.
Mm.
But
yeah, right. Enjoy that quad 3 win.
Damn.
I lost to North Carolina. What is it? North Carolina, Wilmington. You can't hurt me anymore.
Right.
Nothing hurts anymore.
Dude,
That's
this is a
tough.
conference loss that is miles better than some of
Yeah,
these others.
lost to UNCW at home.
Isn't that what the name Coach Cal's alma mater?
believe so.
Yeah, I think it is.
That's so nice of him to just dap him up on the way out, you know?
The bad man can't hurt me anymore. The bad man can't hurt me anymore.
His press conferences, man, are wild. We don't even talk about them, but I owe you guys an apology. I was like, no, you guys are crazy. Hall of Fame coach. How are
Then
you going to get rid of this guy? No, no, no,
last
no,
night
no, no.
I showed Braden Calipari's press conference last year after the Auburn win. I don't know if you remember that one, but that was him. That was peak of ugliness between him and the fan base.
Why
Was
did
about
it,
that.
it was so confrontational? He's just like, and that was after a win, right? They won that game.
Sure
You said,
was, yeah.
oh, cool. Yeah, he comes out and
He,
like wants to fight.
I don't wanna dwell on
Sure.
Cal, but he's already had kind of an adversarial relationship with some of the media there, which is interesting. And I don't know any of their media, like maybe they're partially to blame for that. But it is cinema.
It's real nice having Coach Pope at the podium after games. I'll
Oh
say
yeah.
that. Having his players give opening statements, things like that. I really like that. I like that. I like how you see the journey. He walks in the locker room. He says, "Talk to me." Like they're talking before he walks in. It's a real night and day thing. So yeah, you're right. Let's not focus on that. But Pope, man, that guy is. It's really nice to
Well,
not have to not cheer for him anymore because
One
wearing
one
the royal
thing
blue
I
now.
totally unrelated. I just still have our Ken Palm pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
We are, let's see, how many D1 teams are there?
334 or something like that.
Three
Oh,
364.
364. Oh, geez.
We are number 355 in the country in terms of our defense forcing non-steal turnovers at like half the D1 average per game. We get four, we give up six.
Like dead
Average
ball
teams.
turnovers.
Yeah, just any turnover that is not a steal. I assume that's charge, out of bounds, double dribble.
Okay.
Any turnover that's not a steal. We are at 4%.
What about
It
for
just
live ball steals? Where are you at on that?
steals. Our defense is just under average,
Hmm, okay.
but I mean
well,
it's just a funny, weird
It is,
statistic.
it is interesting because I guess they don't take it a ton. Well, when Kirk Riese goes like 16 feet in the air off of a knee to the chest in Duke game, like, and they don't get a charge on that, you're not gonna. I mean,
Yeah, right, right.
it's unreal.
so just some ending grab bag stuff. You guys have any thoughts on the Kentucky Murray State football game? I
Nope.
have not
It
because
was
I
one
want to
of the
enjoy my
games of
life.
all time. Yeah, it was not. The freshman kid came in, threw that thing around a little bit, but I mean, that's a really bad FCS team versus honestly like a pretty bad Kentucky team. And I just want the season to be over. Honestly, I'm just ready. Tie it up, put a bow on it. Not going to a bowl. Y'all say they're going to beat Louisville. We'll see, probably, because I'm always wrong about this stuff.
I I was kind of disappointed. Like I thought we were going to start Bully. I thought that, I mean, people were like excited to see him. That was announced in the week, and I guess on Friday, Brock got cleared, and they decided, and with like 24 hours notice, that he was going to be good to go. And maybe this says a lot about how I feel about the season, but I'm ready to give up on the season and see what we have going forward. And I
Yeah,
was sort of disappointed that that isn't what we did. I mean, I don't recall when we put Boley in. Maybe I don't know if it was after the half or what, but I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to see him play a game. To me, that's kind of what this late. I mean, other conferences shit on us all the time. The
yeah,
SEC for
yeah.
having these late season tune-ups.
Play your ninth conference
Uh,
game and stop bitching. Yeah,
and I kind of like when the teams use those as an opportunity to play guys that don't usually play, especially at the end of the year when it's like, all right, what are we going to have next year? Alabama used this opportunity to play their second string, their third string, and people kind of like what they saw from the third string. So like there was real benefit from doing that. And I feel like you lose that a little bit when you let Brock go out there, get you up, and then you're not playing a full game
yeah. He
real scenario where you're relying on Cutter Boley to score.
Yeah, he still went 10 or 14, but in no pressure situation whatsoever for a $130, couple
Right.
touchdowns, no picks. About he basically identical stats without the interception to Brock. But like again, it's different reps when the score is different, whether you want it to be or not. It is different. Like you go in there 0-0, you go put those first two tuds on the board. It's a bigger deal than you put the last two when you're up 44-0. You know. But it was an ugly game throughout. I mean, yeah, nothing really else to say about it. But I mean, again, that's why I can't stand those games. Especially when you hear Kirby Smart over here just mouthing off about what the committee doesn't know what they're talking about. Well, don't play an FCS team in week 13 or whatever this is, or 10. Like I mean, yeah, it's tough, but like, it's not, I don't know. We'll see how
Well,
that goes.
and to be clear, like I know I was comparing to Alabama. Alabama played Milrow a little bit. I mean, he had 16 passes, almost 200 yards. It's not like Alabama threw their young guns in there and said, "Go for it, uh, win us this game," because they also got a big lead and then sort of let them play.
They're also not one and
But
six in the SEC. So.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Texas opened as a 20.5 point favorite. Are we taking the over or the under?
Kentucky will cover. They've covered in basically every big game besides South Carolina.
Yeah,
I am
I, I,
hammering
I
the
do
over.
feel what
Hammering the over.
You think they're going to lose by more than 20?
Yeah.
I don't think they
no.
will. Who's beating them by that much besides South Carolina? I guess Florida did, huh? Florida beat the brakes off of them. Never mind.
Bro, we have given up.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kentucky covers that, but
They covered Tennessee.
I
They
mean,
covered Vandy. No, they didn't cover
Geo-
Vandy. My bad. That was about toss
they
up.
they they cover Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, our defense is good enough, assuming everyone is playing and hasn't given up and declared they're entering the portal and whatever. Uh, our defense is good enough that we could conceivably hold Texas to well below their scoring average. I don't know what
Texas
that is,
Texas just
but
beat
but
Florida
like,
49-17.
Pardon?
yeah,
Texas just beat Florida 49-17.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for as poorly as we perform often, and as few big games as Stoop actually wins, he does get the guys to show up for big games, and especially the defense tends to play well. So I'm optimistic. I don't know. I mean, I'll watch it. Not really gonna be losing my mind cheering for it. Not gonna be in a depressed state any more so
Yeah.
than I am now if we lose.
Do you guys want to debut the bet wheel?
On the 20 and a half? Oh, gosh.
On 20.5.
Bro, I've seen that wheel. I don't want to do like 90% of the stuff on that wheel.
All right.
I don't
So
want to do
clue
any of
the
it, really.
audience in. I'll just give them the audience what the options
The
are for the
potential
bet wheel.
outcomes, yeah.
Ben, I'm not sure if you even know what the potential options are for the bet
I
wheel.
saw them briefly, which is why I'm uninterested in participating in the bet wheel.
Yeah, so
There
the
is the
puppeteering, go ahead.
classic. There is the classic foot bet where the loser would have to post a photo of their feet online. I've thought about also just having it where your feet are your avatar for a full episode. I don't know if that sounds like a lot of fun to me.
I
There's a
like it.
karaoke bet where the loser has to do a
Commit
karaoke song
suicide, yeah.
on an
That's
episode. Full on standing bet. That one's just easy. You can't adjust the frame, so you just have to stand up for a full episode. That's fork in toaster for 10 seconds.
mostly
I'll explain
joking.
that later. Volunteer at a homeless shelter or soup kitchen. I don't know why
It's a
Ben
good
doesn't
one.
want to do that.
I
This
mean,
is a
yeah.
lot in there. Do a get ready with me video.
That
You
one
guys are
is bro.
And then finally, you have just a good old puppet where my wife is making puppets of all of us, and then you would just have to be out of frame and be holding up your puppet
See,
duplicate.
I'm
For an
Can
episode.
we do that anyway? Like no bet required. I would just gladly.
No, it's because
I mean,
sometimes there's a risk and a reward with these. So that's the point
chore
of
wheel.
the
that
bet
that one
wheel.
is you. That one is you get to be a puppet. You
Yeah, yeah.
winner is permitted to be a puppet for an
You
episode.
get to be a puppet. You get to volunteer at a homeless shelter. You get to show
Uh
your feet online.
there's only two of those that I just I can't do it. Like I want to do it, but like it's the get ready with me video that I'd rather do almost anything than just because it for obvious reasons. And then the karaoke bet. Like I
Just
I
imagine
kind of want to
Yeah.
Creighton
feel
just belting out "How to Save a Life" by The Fray on an episode of the
Oh
Catechin.
God. And then I just, blow your minds and everyone's like, damn, let's go.
Since He
Got
Been
piped.
Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
There we go. See, guys, content.
I kind of
Now
need this.
I will
No.
do a bet wheel for something that I'm confident will happen. I guess I'm not doing it against somebody, but I will spin the wheel right now. And I don't know how to share my screen on here, so we're just gonna have to do
Honor
Scout's
system.
honor.
Yeah.
Because I want to do the bet wheel. My bet is that Caleb Wilson will be a cat because, I mean, obviously, right?
If he's
Okay.
not, you gotta
Yeah,
hit the
no,
wheel. You gotta hit the wheel 3 times if he goes somewhere else now. That's a 3 banger. That's you get 3 of those hoes.
I mean, it's all but
I
done,
know.
right? He took Arkansas off the Final Five. I don't know if you saw the picture he posted. He was only smiling in the Kentucky jersey, and it
Yeah.
was front and center.
Yeah, Tipton wasn't super slick on that one. It was pretty obvious.
on one of his posts, I think it may have been that one where he said, "Where's home?" Caden just responded, "LOL."
Come on.
Is it?
We're
It's
giving
gotta be
away
the agent
spoilers.
tracking that thing. I kind of want to do a bet wheel on the Kentucky Texas game just because I was like pretty adamant about. But I feel dog. I mean, it's gonna be the end of me in the podcast, right? Like you get that karaoke bet, and I'm just gonna buy. I'll come back later as Gaden Butts again. Um, Esquire. Dude,
Should I
20
add
3
one
touch.
that you get to write the intro for a podcast if you do a bet wheel? Because that's a positive one.
Well, for you it is. For the less creative of the group, that's stressful.
That's homework.
It's just gonna be bad. I mean, I can do it. It won't be good.
Do you want to do it for the Texas spread?
I'm thinking about it. But what if I win? Like, what if I'm off the hook kind of thing?
If you win, then I do what it is.
Oh, like we go
Yeah, it's a bet between
1v1
the two of
here.
us. Loser has to do the.
This is an
Oh, that's
adversarial system.
that's
Yeah.
so tough because they're gonna get 3 touchdowns. Dude, now I'm not confident at all.
I love the bet wheel.
Damn it. It is absolutely the ultimate equalizer here because I am like, money, put $100. All right, for sure. I'll take the under. I'll take
Sure.
the Kentucky and the points, but a
Now you're betting your
karaoke
pride.
bet? More than that? Everything, dude. That's tough. Texas, almost like the Louisville one. I'd almost like pick Louisville to win that game on a wheel bet, but
Do you want to? Would you rather just do Kentucky Louisville on the bet wheel? Because I'm taking the Cats. I'm a Kentucky fan.
me too. But if you said
Sorry.
is BYU or Utah State going to win in football this year, I'm gonna say BYU because I've been wrong about everything, and Utah State would win. I'd have to do a damn karaoke bet. So I don't know. Oh. Do we spin the wheel at the outcome or like beforehand? Like, am I going to sweat this for 2 weeks knowing
So
full well?
you and I are going to lock in. If you agree to do it, we're going to lock in right now. So we are pot committed to whatever this wheel lands on that the loser has to do.
Gosh, and we're doing it on the I'm not doing it on the Utah or on the Texas spread. There's no way, dude. That's way too up in the air. But when was the last time Louisville won in this series?
2017.
Okay.
Probably.
Oh, but then
Maybe.
if they, if I feels wrong, I feel like I'd be pissed if you guys were like betting on like BYU or something like against me. I'd be like kind of angry about that. I don't know if I want to pick Louisville, but also I kind of do because I think they're gonna win.
And it's the bet wheel.
Oh, that's why I'm hesitant is because
That's
it's the bet wheel.
sweet content, baby.
All right, so Louisville last won in 2017. They didn't. I don't know why this one isn't blue. Yeah, Louisville last won in 2017.
Okay, here we go. I gotta, bro. They've only played that many times. Why haven't they played that much?
Well, it looks like they started in 1912, went for a couple years, skipped a little bit,
Then went 70
then
years between 24 and
yeah,
94. That's wild.
then picked it back up in 1994.
We're doing this bet wheel or not, bud?
We don't have the spread yet. Are we doing just straight up winner?
No, straight up. Yeah, money line.
And it's not this week; it's next week.
Yes, sir.
November
gosh.
30. Oh, so I was looking at it. The reason I said one wasn't blue is that Kentucky vacated all of their 2021 wins.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot about that one.
And where's the game at this year?
Lexington.
We lose at home, though. We do
3
lose
and
at
4
home.
at home. I mean, Dog, it's the karaoke one that's got me cooked. Like everything else I can deal.
Fork and toaster. You go with fork and toaster.
I volunteer for a toaster over like 3 of those things. Like I just take the zap and just move on with my life. Oh my gosh. All right. Mm. All right, let's run with it.
All right, here we go. I'm spinning it.
I swear it's karaoke wheel. I'm leaving this podcast.
It's buffering. Great.
You need to get like a real wheel.
It's guys, it's buffering on me.
Exactly why you need a real wheel.
Yeah. Real wheel. Let's just wait till we get a real wheel. It's fine.
Hold on.
The Howard Schnellenberger Award winner last year was J.J. Weaver with 2 fumble recoveries, 8 solo tackles, and a sack. That's a nice performance.
All right, here we go. Ready?
No.
Tick, 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 tick. It's a puppet bet.
Thank
It's
God.
a puppet bet.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
lucky.
Let's go. Okay, I'm good with that. Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you. I was hoping for that or soup kitchen or like literally anything but the damn karaoke bet. Like made me stand for a half hour. I don't care. Thing like the way you phrased it with how to save life by the fray, like made me want to just play freeze
Oh
tag on the
yeah,
freeway.
the bet wheel feels good.
Mm.
All right, fellas. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this bad boy up?
Louisville, come on now. We'll talk before then, but my God. Let's go. When do we get the
Nothing for
puppets
me.
though? We gotta get those puppets going.
Yeah. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see everybody on Saturday. Please like and subscribe. A lot of attention on the last video. That was very cool.
We really appreciate that.
But we are, the algorithm is our overlords now. So please like and subscribe. And hey, send to a friend, man. Send to someone in need. Guys, any closing thoughts?
No, and yeah, go Cats.
Also, another thing I'll say, give us feedback. Leave comments. Let us know
Yeah.
what you like, what you don't like. Do you prefer the instant reactions? Do you like the longer form midweek stuff? Just let us know what you like, what you want to hear more of. Should we talk about stats? Should we talk about stats not at all?
That's a good point.
Recruiting. I mean, just let us know. We really don't have a good sense yet of what the people want to hear.
Yeah,
Eager
perfect.
to please. All right. When with that, thank you for joining the Catechin. Go Cats.
Go Cats.